The diamond ring tumbled from his trembling fingers, bouncing once on the rooftop deck before disappearing through the narrow gap between the floorboards, just as the New Year's fireworks exploded overhead, illuminating the horror on both their faces. If you've ever wondered whether fate has a cruel sense of humor, stick around to find out how this proposal disaster turned into something neither of them could have imagined. Like and subscribe to follow more real-life love stories that prove sometimes the universe has better plans than we do. Marcus Chen stood frozen, staring at the space between the wooden slats where his grandmother's vintage diamond ring had vanished seconds ago. 3 months of planning, 2 weeks of rehearsing his speech, and now this. The countdown to 2026 had just finished, and instead of sliding that precious heirloom onto Eliza's finger, he was watching it disappear into the darkness below. Did that just? Eliza Winters, his boss of 4 years and girlfriend of 2, peered down at the gap, her champagne glass still clutched in one hand. Her dark curls whipped around her face in the January wind, and the string lights hanging across the rooftop bar caught the tears already forming in her eyes. "I'm so sorry," Marcus whispered, dropping to his knees and frantically trying to see through the crack. "I can't believe this is happening." Eliza knelt beside him, her elegant black dress pooling around her. "Marcus, it's okay. We can." "No, it's not okay." His voice cracked. "Nothing about this is okay. I wanted this to be perfect for you." Around them, the rooftop celebration continued, oblivious to their crisis. Couples kissed, friends toasted, and the DJ transitioned from "Auld Lang Syne" to the first dance song of the new year. No one noticed the man and woman huddled on the floor, peering desperately between wooden planks. Marcus felt a familiar tightness in his chest, the same panic that had gripped him when his wife died 5 years ago, leaving him alone with their 3-year-old daughter, Lily. The feeling that the universe was deliberately sabotaging any chance he had at happiness. "I need to find it," he muttered, already moving toward the stairs. "It's my grandmother's. It's all I have left of her." Eliza grabbed his arm. "Wait. The bar below is packed right now. Let me call the manager. I know him from the charity event we hosted here last summer." Of course she did. Eliza knew everyone. As the CEO of Horizon Technologies, she had connections throughout Seattle. It was one of the countless things Marcus had fallen in love with during his years as her executive assistant, her effortless ability to solve problems, to make things happen. It was also what had terrified him about proposing in the first place. What could he possibly offer someone like her? 8 hours earlier, Marcus had been standing in his modest apartment, adjusting his tie while his daughter, Lily, now 8, sat cross-legged on his bed, solemnly holding the ring box. "Are you sure she's going to say yes, Dad?" Lily asked, her small fingers tracing the velvet case. Marcus paused, studying his reflection. At 36, the gray at his temples had become more pronounced, and the lines around his eyes deeper. The past 5 years as a single father had aged him, but they'd also given him a strength he never knew he possessed. "I hope so, Lil. But even if she doesn't." He turned to his daughter, whose features so resembled her mother's that it sometimes stole his breath. "We'll be okay either way." Lily nodded, but her expression remained serious. "I want her to say yes. She makes you smile the real smile, not the pretend one." Marcus felt his heart constrict. Children saw everything. "When did you get so smart?" "Ms. Winters says I'm precocious," Lily replied, pronouncing the word carefully. "That means I notice things." "She's right about that." Marcus sat beside his daughter, taking the ring box. "You know, when I first started working for Ms. Winters, I was so intimidated. She was this brilliant, successful woman who seemed to have everything figured out." "And you were just a sad dad," Lily added matter-of-factly. Marcus laughed despite himself. "I was definitely a sad dad. But Ms. Winters, Eliza, she saw something in me anyway. She gave me flexible hours so I could pick you up from school. She never made me feel less than anyone else in the company, even though I was just her assistant. And then you fell in love, Lily said with the dramatic flair of a child raised on Disney movies. Not right away, Marcus corrected. First, we became friends. Remember when she came to your school play? Lily's face brightened. She brought me those sparkly shoes afterward. And she didn't even know it was my birthday. That's when I started to see her differently, Marcus admitted. Not as my intimidating boss, but as this incredibly thoughtful person who would go out of her way for a little girl she barely knew. The memory of that day still warmed him, Eliza sitting beside him in the elementary school auditorium, genuinely delighted by Lily's three-line performance as a tree. Afterward, she'd noticed Lily admiring another girl's glittery shoes and had disappeared, returning 30 minutes later with a similar pair in Lily's size. Dad? Lily's voice pulled him back to the present. What if she doesn't want to be my mom? The vulnerability in his daughter's question made his chest ache. Lily, honey, Eliza adores you. But no one will ever replace your mom. Eliza wouldn't want to. She'd be an addition to our family, not a replacement. Lily considered this, then nodded. I think Mom would like her. She's strong like Mom was. Marcus swallowed the lump in his throat. I think so too. His phone buzzed, a text from his sister, who would be arriving soon to watch Lily for the night. He slipped the ring box into his jacket pocket, where it seemed to burn against his chest, a physical manifestation of all his hopes and fears. Now, standing on the rooftop with that same box empty and his grandmother's ring lost somewhere in the building's infrastructure, those fears seemed prophetic. The bar manager, a harried man named Paolo, shook his head as he examined the gap between the floorboards. The space below this section is just mechanical, HVAC ducts, electrical. Not part of the downstairs bar. We'd need to pull up these boards to access it. Can we do that? Marcus asked desperately. Paolo glanced around at the packed rooftop. Not tonight, man. We've got 300 people up here until closing. What time is closing? Eliza asked, her CEO voice emerging, the one that made board members straighten in their chairs. 4 a.m., Paolo replied, looking increasingly uncomfortable. But even then, we'd need building maintenance, and they won't be available until tomorrow morning at the earliest, Eliza finished for him. She squeezed Marcus's hand. We'll come back first thing tomorrow. Marcus nodded numbly, but inside he was spiraling. This wasn't just about the ring anymore. It was about his entire relationship with Eliza, the careful balance they'd maintained between their professional and personal lives, and the fear that had always lurked beneath the surface, that he wasn't enough for her. As they made their way back to their table, Eliza's phone rang. She glanced at the screen and frowned. It's the office. On New Year's. That can't be good. Marcus knew what that meant. As CEO, Eliza was always on call for emergencies. Their evening was about to be cut short, another sign from the universe that this proposal was doomed from the start. Take it, he said, forcing a smile. I'll get us more champagne. As he walked to the bar, he heard her answer with her professional greeting, Eliza Winters speaking. By the time he returned with their drinks, her expression had shifted to the focused intensity he recognized from countless crisis meetings at Horizon. The server in Singapore crashed, she explained, already gathering her purse. The backup systems aren't responding, and we're losing data from the Asia-Pacific region. I need to go in. Of course, Marcus said automatically. Do you want me to come with you? For a moment, Eliza looked torn. Then she shook her head. No, you should stay and enjoy the party. There's nothing you can do at the office that you can't do remotely if I need you. He nodded, trying not to show his relief. The thought of sitting in their office right now, with the failed proposal hanging between them, was unbearable. I'm so sorry about the ring, she said, touching his face gently. We'll find it tomorrow, I promise. And Marcus? She hesitated. We should talk when things calm down. His stomach dropped. Talk was never good. Talk meant she'd been thinking about their relationship, about the complications of dating her assistant, about the responsibilities of potentially becoming a stepmother. Sure, he managed. Go save the company. I'll be here. After she left, Marcus sat alone at their table, watching couples dance and friends celebrate. The champagne tasted bitter now. He pulled out his phone to check on Lily, but before he could call his sister, a text from Eliza appeared. Meeting you was the best thing that ever happened to Horizon. And to me. Don't give up on us because of one lost ring. Red heart. Marcus stared at the message, reading it 3 times before he allowed himself to believe it. Maybe the night wasn't a complete disaster after all. The next morning, Marcus arrived at the Rooftop bar at exactly 9 a.m., when the building maintenance team had promised to meet him. To his surprise, Eliza was already there, dressed casually in jeans and a sweater, her hair pulled back in a ponytail, a stark contrast to her usual polished business attire. I thought you'd be dealing with the Singapore crisis, he said as he joined her. Fixed it at 4 a.m., she replied, handing him a coffee. Turns out it was a physical issue with the cooling system. Once we got that back online, the servers recovered. And you came straight here instead of going home to sleep? She shrugged. Some things are more important than sleep. Before he could respond, the maintenance team arrived, 2 men with toolboxes and skeptical expressions. Within 20 minutes, they had removed several floorboards, revealing a narrow space filled with dust, electrical conduits, and ventilation ducts. If your ring's in there, it could be anywhere, one of the workers said, shining a flashlight into the darkness. These spaces run throughout the building. Marcus felt his hope fading again. Can we go down there and look? The worker shook his head. Too narrow for an adult. You'd need someone smaller. Like a child, Eliza murmured, then immediately shook her head. Not that we'd ask Lily to do this. It's not safe. Marcus looked at her, surprised that her mind had gone to his daughter so quickly. Definitely not. It's just a ring. It's not just a ring, Eliza corrected him. It's your grandmother's ring. It matters. The maintenance men continued examining the space, discussing possible approaches, but Marcus found himself watching Eliza instead. Despite having been up all night, she looked determined, focused on solving this problem with the same intensity she brought to work crises. We could try a retrieval tool, one worker suggested, pulling out a long, flexible device with a small claw at the end. If we can spot it, we might be able to grab it. For the next hour, they systematically searched the space beneath the floorboards, but the ring remained elusive. Marcus's phone buzzed with a text from his sister, asking when he'd be picking up Lily. He realized with a start that it was already past 10 a.m. I need to get Lily soon, he told Eliza. My sister has plans this afternoon. Eliza nodded. Go ahead. I'll stay here and keep looking. You've been up all night, Marcus protested. You need to rest. I'll rest when we find your ring, she insisted. Go get Lily. Maybe bring her back here for lunch? There's that pizza place she likes down the street. The casual way she remembered his daughter's preferences made something warm unfurl in his chest. Are you sure? Positive. Besides, I want to see her. It's been a week since our last movie night. As Marcus drove to his sister's apartment, he found himself reflecting on how seamlessly Eliza had integrated herself into their lives over the past 2 years. Movie nights every other Friday. Helping Lily with science projects. Attending parent-teacher conferences when Marcus couldn't get away from work. She'd never tried to replace Lily's mother, but she'd created her own unique relationship with his daughter. When he arrived at his sister's place, Lily was already waiting, bouncing on her toes with excitement. Did she say yes? Are you getting married? Can I be the flower girl? The questions tumbled out before he'd even closed the door. Marcus exchanged a look with his sister, who raised an eyebrow in silent inquiry. He shook his head slightly. Actually, Lil, there was a little problem with the proposal, he explained, kneeling to her level. I dropped the ring, and it fell through some floorboards at the restaurant. Lily's eyes widened. You lost great-grandma's ring? Dad. I know. We're trying to find it. In fact, Eliza is still at the restaurant right now, helping the maintenance people look for it. She is? Lily looked impressed. Even though you didn't actually ask her yet? Even though, Marcus confirmed. She wants to have lunch with us if you're up for it. The pizza place you like. Lily was already grabbing her coat. Can we help look for the ring too? The space is too small for adults to search properly, Marcus explained as they walked to the car. But maybe you can provide moral support. When they arrived back at the rooftop bar, they found Eliza sitting cross-legged on the floor beside the opened section, directing one of the maintenance workers who was manipulating the retrieval tool. A little to the left, she was saying. I think I saw something shiny near that junction box. Eliza. Lily called, running over. Dad told me what happened. It's okay if you didn't find the ring. You can still say yes. Eliza laughed, standing to hug Lily. Is that right? And what exactly would I be saying yes to? Lily's eyes widened as she realized her mistake. She looked at Marcus, who was shaking his head in amused resignation. Nothing? Lily tried, then immediately cracked under Eliza's raised eyebrow. Okay, fine. Dad was going to ask you to marry him. But don't tell him I told you. I'm standing right here, Lil, Marcus pointed out. Eliza's expression softened as she looked at him. Were you really? Before he could answer, the maintenance worker called out, I think I've got something. They all turned to watch as he carefully maneuvered the retrieval tool, its small claw closing around something in the darkness. Slowly, he withdrew the device, and there, clutched in its mechanical grip, was the vintage diamond ring, its stones catching the light. You found it! Lily exclaimed, clapping her hands. The worker handed the ring to Marcus, who examined it carefully. Despite its journey, it appeared undamaged, the central diamond surrounded by smaller stones in the intricate setting his grandfather had designed himself nearly 70 years ago. Thank you, he told the workers sincerely. You have no idea how much this means to me. As the maintenance team packed up their tools, Marcus turned to Eliza, suddenly aware that they had an audience. Lily was watching them with undisguised anticipation, practically vibrating with excitement. Maybe we should talk about this privately, he suggested quietly. Eliza shook her head. I think Lily deserves to be part of this moment, don't you? After all, I'd be saying yes to both of you. Marcus felt his heart skip. You would say yes? Why don't you ask me and find out, she challenged, her eyes sparkling. Taking a deep breath, Marcus dropped to one knee, holding up the recovered ring. This wasn't how he'd planned it, on a rooftop in the morning light, with his daughter bouncing beside them and two maintenance workers pretending not to watch. But somehow, it felt right. Eliza Winters, he began, his voice steadier than he expected. When I started working for you 4 years ago, I was just trying to survive. My wife was gone, I had a 3-year-old daughter, and I needed a job that would let me be the father she deserved. I never expected to find someone who would see past my mess and recognize whatever potential was left. Eliza's eyes were already glistening with tears, but she